There are many times, there are many times I hear the voice, a voice of freedom calling me. Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Politics of Kendra podcast, where we talk about things music, culture, spirituality, art, all things of importance. And I like to bring on interesting artists with an awesome story. Today we have my friend Jess Music from Houston, Texas. How's it going today?
I'm doing great, Kendra. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're so welcome. Thanks for being here. So tell me, who are you? Give me a little bit of backstory.
Well, my name is Jess. I am a musician, a producer as well now, and I focus mainly on guitar is how I write music.
Mhm.
I live in Houston, Texas, which I'm so happy right now that our weather has been absolutely beautiful for the past month here. It's been just incredible. And in the last 2 years, I've been focusing mainly on music and pushing myself to grow into what I've always wanted to be, which is a touring musician.
Mhm.
And I'm so excited to start getting these steps that I've been trying to come up on, and finally starting to get over the hill and seeing the light. And very
Yeah.
excited for what's to come.
Definitely. I like that visualization of climbing up the hill and then getting to see the beautiful sunset and the beautiful horizon. So, how long have you
Right.
been playing music?
Well, I picked up the guitar at age 11, and saw my friends playing in the church band and was like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. So I spent all summer practicing guitar and ended up playing in the church band in seventh and eighth grade. And was just learning songs like Green Day songs and Dave
Mhm.
Matthews songs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't writing music or anything back then. I got involved with golf and actually excelled in golf quite a bit. And
Nice.
so I played golf in college, and music was always a passion for me, but golf kind of brought me in socially with a new crowd and kind of opened me up. So I followed that pathway and ended up playing in college for a little bit and got cut from the golf team. And that was kind of the realization of, okay, well, I only went to college for golf because I was good academically, but it wasn't anything that I really wanted to be in. I wasn't wanting to be a business professional. I was just there for sports, really, to play golf. And so when I got cut from the golf team, it was like, okay, now I want to focus on music, and started a band with my roommate. And kind of over the years, that was back in 2011, 2012.
Hmm.
Over the years, moved around, went to festivals, traveled, kind of grew as an artist because for me personally, it was kind of unaccepted amongst my peers, it felt like, to pursue music. Golf was fine, and being a business professional was fine, but being a musician was like all of a sudden this crazy idea, and I couldn't do it according to them, and it was too hard and all this stuff. And so for me, I had to grow a lot internally and be very confident in myself, and that kind of led me to where I am today over the
Well,
years.
that's so interesting what you said about it not being accepted by your fellows when you wanted to really start pursuing music. I actually ran into some of the same things, and it wasn't like out of character or anything. I'm like, you guys, I've always been a musician. I've always been a singer and an artist. So how did you develop your own confidence so that you were like, well, this is what I do? It's not a matter of, well, maybe he will perform at shows and maybe he will tour. It's a matter of just, the timeline starting.
It took a lot of years and a lot of different um, just avenues of life that I pursued. I would work in different jobs, and it was always funny. Like, I'd work in these jobs and I just feel so emotionally drained from these jobs and stuff like that, that I couldn't create. I couldn't do what my body would really want to do. And so I just had to learn and kind of grow as a artist and as an individual until finally it was just like, you know what, there were some things in 2017 really that happened, like Harvey and stuff, late 2017, that it was just like kind of a slap in the face. All right, like, I got to do it now. Like the
Yeah.
time is up. I've grown enough. I'm confident. I've surrounded myself, like going to music festivals and meeting people who are passionate
Yeah.
about your same passion, and getting that crew together, and kind of you create this bubble of this world of just like creatives. And
Right.
so you kind of don't think about other things anymore. You're not thinking about the negative. You're focusing on positive, in your mind, the positive stuff. And that's kind of what motivated me and made me just fully pursue it. And it was at the end of 2017, 2000, like the start of 2018 is when it was like, okay, I'm doing this for sure now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Right. It seems like a lot of times when I go to a music festival, it gets me so much in the mindset of like, there's a full environment and there's a full-fledged functioning society, mini society that is so dedicated to the music and to the culture. Even people are, you know, creating their own vending booths so they can go on tour and go on the music festival circuit. Like it is
Right.
a full functioning environment. That's cool. It made me think of the Animal Collective song. They have this lyric where they say, I just want to do what my body wants to do.
Right.
I think it's daily routine. Yeah, that's really interesting too. I totally resonate with that. So Hurricane Harvey is what he's talking about. That happened in 2017. It was a massive flood hurricane that hit Houston, which is my hometown too, pretty intensely. So when you first started music, you were starting, let's say 2017. Did you start with some songs already under your belt, or did you just start writing new songs right then?
I did. So like 2011, when I first started like playing in bands and stuff, 2012, I started doing like solo stuff because it was only me on my own, and I knew I wanted to write songs. So I had songs that I'd written. I'd write like a song when a song would come to me. I'd write like a
Mm-hmm.
song a month or something. It wasn't something that I was really focused on, but I'd write a song, and some people really enjoyed some of my songs, and so I'd play them more and more. And over the years, I always thought they were silly because they were very kind of personal to me. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
showed my insides and my heart, and I wasn't confident yet as a musician at all. But over the years, as people would keep requesting these songs and these tunes that I'd play, they kind of stuck with me. So yes, I did have a few songs under my belt in 2017.
Nice. And so your songwriting process, walk us through just like a little bit of a version of you writing a song.
Usually it starts with a melody, and that melody usually comes from a guitar chords and stuff, a structure in chords, whether it's from just me hearing something in my head. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times I'll get influences from another song.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll hear a song being played and I'll be like, oh, that's cool. Let me learn these chords. And so as I learn these chords, I'll kind of dabble with them and do other things, and then sing a different melody and stuff like that, kind of play it differently, slower, faster. And
Yeah.
then from there, I write the lyrics. I do not write lyrics first most of the time.
Okay.
Most of the time I'm already kind of have a structure in my head, and I write on top of that. I don't want to do that as much as I have from now on. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
want to have more of lyrics written. I just want to do things differently
It's always
and
nice
not
to
the
change things
same
up.
way every time.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes
Right,
I'll hear
right.
a song and I'll hear a different melody that's not even in the song at all. But it's like it's in there, but it's like not audible. And so I will get influenced by other songs that I hear and have a whole new melody come out of them. Something I do too is sometimes a hook of a song will come to me. Like I wrote one
Mm-hmm.
right before bed last night, and I'll just record the hook of the song and that I use that as my guiding post. That's what I've been doing a lot recently, is use that as a guiding post to go back to.
So you'll just like record your voice memo on a voice memo, the hook. I've been starting to do that too. And then you build around that hook.
Right. So I'll build around whatever comes first. Sometimes, like you mentioned, it's a cool groovy guitar riff. And then I'm like, boom, there's the song. I'll pick a theme and build around it. Or it starts with a series of lyrics or like a poem that then I'll figure out. Maybe I'll match that poem to a cool guitar riff that I haven't utilized yet, or I'll just do some basic chords or whatever. And then recently it's been just the hook of a song like that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've always wanted to kind of mash. I've started to do that too. We just wrote a little jingle, me and my friends, and I've had this cool major 7 structure going on that I've never wrote anything to. And I was like, hey, we could use this as our little jingle. And we used it, and it was a lot of fun to use. And I'm so happy when you write songs and get them out of you too. It's almost like I consider it like a memory bank. You can only have so much in your head. And so when you get these things out of you, it's almost like a fresh page opens up, and it's like, oh, now you have room to create something else new. You know what I mean?
And sometimes it's like a song that I've known forever. I've written some songs where all the lyrics come impromptu. I've written 2 songs this way, 3 songs this way, where I turn on my iPhone memos and I just go like freestyling, like on a DJ screw track almost. And it's just like from start to finish. And I'm like, whoa, this is a song this means that I've known this song for, it's almost like part of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's awesome.
So tell us genre. What's your genre?
My genre is my personal stuff is acoustic alternative, is what I'd like to call it as.
Nice.
Feel good music. I do personally though, my genre, I don't want to box myself into a genre right now, because I'm also growing so much with technology.
Yeah.
Before it was writing songs with just an acoustic guitar, and now recently, like, I've dove into Ableton and synth sounds and all this stuff that I want to start incorporating into my music too. I don't want to like fully go, we were talking about trap beats earlier. I don't want to fully like engulf in the trap beats yet, but I do want to use those sounds and become, futuristic with it all.
Yeah, so I've seen some people, as well as notably Soundtribe Sector 9 does this too, where they have like their little launch pad in front of them, and then Hunter is playing on the guitar right there. There's also this one guy I'm friends with in LA who does that too. He's got his backing tracks with his launch pad, or maybe he'll play some of the beats and then grab the electric guitar. So almost like the beats are on a loop, and then he's playing some guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's exciting.
So much fun. It is so much fun. I've been quarantining, fortunately, with a couple very, very intuitive, creative minds in the music world. One is a sound engineer, and the other is a lighting director. So they have been teaching me so much about Ableton and launching tracks and making beats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And learning lighting design and all that stuff. It's been so much fun learning from them. And just digesting that all. It's like just all the information, you're just wanting to soak that all in. And they love talking about it because it's their passion. And it's something I've never really been around until recently. So it's been a lot of fun learning that stuff.
It's interesting because like when I hear you talk about this, it just told me like 3 different solutions to something I was thinking about. Something I was like, okay, how should I make more space on my computer? That was just in the back of my mind. And then when you were talking about being around intuitive, creative minds and it informing you on what you should do next, it was like, boom, the solution popped right into my head, which is the solution is to, I told you I was going to launch the podcast in June. Just go ahead and upload them to YouTube and keep it on a scheduled premiere. Then I can free up some space on my computer.
There you go.
So in effect, you were telling me how the intuitive minds help you realize stuff, and as you were doing that for me.
That's so cool you said that too, because I've been studying a lot over this time about like your mental aspect of life and spiritual aspect of life and the physical aspect, and how you can bring that all into one and really start creating your vision from your mind, from your thinking. And a lot of times it's, you know, we try so hard, we're thinking so hard about how can we do something, how can we do something, and then the second we free up our mind and just kind of don't think, the thought comes right to you, and it's almost just like a flashing light, just boom.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, that's it. Whether
Yeah.
and it could be from everything, like a, you know, a line on a lyric that you're stuck on, or anything. The second you just release and calm yourself down, it can come right to you. It will come right to you.
Our minds are like kind of like computers in that way. I read this one book, and it talks about when you're performing, it talks about, oh, what is the name of that book? Okay, but it talks about when you're performing, when you have a task for your mind, you tell your conscious, hey, this is the task at hand, and then you go to sleep on it, and you wake up the next day and you probably have an answer. Like you just said, you free up your mind.
That's so true. I actually I brought a couple books down.
Beautiful.
That I was reading. This one's called Finding Your North Star. And this is the book that I started reading and completely changed my life about 5 weeks ago. I highly recommend it. It's got some exercise and stuff, and it really makes you think. And then also the power of your subconscious mind. And these books, they just make you think and make you realize how powerful our minds are. And
absolutely,
a lot of times, like, we are programmed, like computers, you said, to think in like this negative aspect way, like this negative way of fear. And the second you start thinking the other way, positive, and attracting yourself, I'm sure you know this as a musician too, and being where you're at now, like the second you start attracting that vibe to you, things just start coming to you. And ideas, people, you just start attracting these things to you, and all of a sudden you look around and you're like, holy cow, this is exactly what I've wanted for so long, and all I had to do was change my thinking. And you think, oh, that's so silly, it can't be that easy. It seems like it is, because it works.
And you get in alignment with your pathway, with your own light, and then you take your finger off the pressure, open the valve, and then it's just like, you know, I've had those moments too where I'm hanging out with friends or something. Okay, so I've had this moment when I was hanging out in Denver with some really good Grateful Dead people, Grateful Dead family, and I was just like, whoa, like this is exactly like where I want to be at the exact moment. I'm so immersed in the music culture, the underground jam band music culture. This is like, you know, tears to my eyes, perfect. And all I had to do was just follow, you know, step one, then we'll go to step two, and then next thing you know, you're living your dream right there. And that's, I know,
and time just stops existing too. Time, like you don't have any thought of time. Time moves so fast, you're just like unaware of it. You're in just that timeless space. I love that. So, and you can start feeling it more and more as it's coming to you. Have you started feeling that? Like you start being in the moment so much, and knowing that you're in the moment, you're like, wow, this is so awesome. You're just like, I hope this never ends.
Right. And then I get conscious about it, and then I'm like, so I overthink stuff. So I'm like, oh gosh, I hope this never ends. And then I'm like, let me think about absolutely every single way that it could end. And I'm like, okay, let me write some songs about this, because that's the only way, or a poem, that's the only way to get through those thought processes for me. Because, you know, once I think about it, then I'm like, oh no, hopefully I didn't just
that's really cool.
This whole thing.
So that's how you release some of those thoughts is I've never really thought of it like that. That's cool.
So I'll go through a moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, this was a very difficult moment, or it can be a confusing moment, or it can be just like a very kind of jarring, wow, I can't believe this is happening. Even if it's just super subtle, you know, just like energetic stuff, like even going to the grocery store and things are just weird that day. And I'm like, this is so weird. Why can't I even go to the grocery store without having it be a whole mental fiasco? And then I was like, okay, well, obviously you're supposed to write a poem about it or something. So then I'll write a poem about some experience. And then that poem is the reason I feel I went through the experience. And then I'm like, it's like a quantifier at times.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that. That kind of struck a match in my head too, because there's so many times when I'm in the writing mood and then I get down with a piece of paper and it's, what do you want to write about, Jess? And I'm just like, I don't know. Sometimes it's like, I don't know. So when that thought comes, or when I'm having thoughts in my mind,
Yeah.
I'll start using that as a tool to have a focus on my writing.
It helps with imagery too, because then you're picking a specific moment or a specific emotion that has experience with it. So then you can talk about like the people you were looking at, the people that were at your show, you know, what led to that feeling. And it allows for just like a lot of creative liberty once you choose a topic or a frame point.
And I think it also creates a lot of connection amongst listeners and readers, because you feel very similar feelings to other people. And so you're just putting it down in a physical form, quote unquote.
Yeah, and even if someone hasn't experienced that exact thing, they can resonate with the fact that it's something parallel.
Yes, you're exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. That's why songs have different meanings to different people. It's so funny, like some songs, you'll grow up listening to this song and you'll realize that this one lyric that can change the entire song was actually this word and not that word. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
There's a lot of
There's
a lot of Fish songs like that where I think okay, so I've actually turned this into my own lyric. So in Nice Guy, Mike says, "You know I'm no nice guy, but I always heard, you know I'm no night sky." So I like see
Yeah.
relatively the same way. It's like, you know I'm no just calm, starry, look up into the skies and dream about things. I'm no nice guy. I'm no night sky. So I wrote this song where I go in between, where's my one of a kind night sky? Where's my one of a kind nice guy? From
That's
getting Fish
awesome.
lyrics kind of confused, or right on
Yeah,
point, you know?
that's funny.
So
I
I'm sorry, I totally just
Go ahead,
interrupted
go
your thought.
ahead, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, I think our next segue would be, tell me about some of your influences, and or take that
And
thought you're gonna share, and then the next one, say what your influences are.
while Fish, we talk about Fish. Fish has been a huge influence of mine. A lot to do with how they approach music, and also their fan base and what they've created just from themselves and through being just passionate musicians. And we were talking about how people have lives like based around their tours.
Yes.
And I was fortunate enough to go on a little Fish run a few years back. We did Tahoe, the Gorge, San Fran, LA, and then Austin. And it was so awesome, like meeting people and who were doing the same thing as you. And there were people making a living on tour, selling water bottles, selling pens, selling burritos, selling smoothies.
Yeah.
And they lived to tour around with this band. And it was so interesting, like we were talking about earlier too, this whole culture, this whole society that you don't really think about in like the mainstream world, but these people have a whole life based around this one band. And that was really eye-opening to see something like that, and for them to stay so true to themselves and not dive into the pop culture and never have really a radio hit or anything like that, and to be, in my opinion, the best live band in the world right now. I mean, what they've done is incredible. Before Fish and the Grateful Dead, I kind of got into them at the same time, around 2013 or so. Before that, it was the Black Keys. I loved the Black Keys.
Yeah.
I loved their rawness, like their old albums with their garage rock. Just love that stuff. Before that, like Green Day was my first influence. Green Day was my favorite. I loved Billy Joe Armstrong. I loved his energy. their shows are just so much fun. He brought up a little kid on stage when I was like 13 years old. He brought up someone my age,
Yeah.
and to play one of their songs. It was just a 3-chord song. Their songs are really easy, but it
Yeah.
was so cool. And then he did a stage dive. The kid did a stage dive, and just to see musicians like care so much about their fans.
Right.
That also, because music is very healing to me. One, it's very inspiring, but it's also so awesome to see what it does to you, and how you want to start spreading that to everyone. You want everyone to start feeling that. And so
Yeah.
the combo of the crowd and the band, and also realizing that they're one, because the guy on stage that's worked his whole life, a guy or girl on stage who's worked their entire lives and heard their songs a million times,
Yeah.
they want to be that kid in the front row who has never seen them, just loving them, having the time of their life. That's exactly what they do it for. Is that type of person right there who's just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I love everything about this. And they work so hard. And so it's almost like a trading off of like, man, I wish like, this is why I do it. I wish I was you right now, because it would be so awesome to see, myself in that perspective.
Right. And to facilitate, I mean, Phish and the Grateful Dead have created their entire own universe. I think the Grateful Dead and the Phish universe intersect, but I mean, they're totally different and yet the same kind of thing. It's like, I can talk to a Phish or a Grateful Dead fan. I can explain to you how my day was just using lyrics from different songs, expanding exponentially like some recursive virus. How are you doing today? I don't know. Doing my best to expand recursively like some virus. I absolutely love that, and I love the fact that it provides so much light for so many people. I mean, one of the best feelings is going into a Phish show, and like when the lights come down, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening, it's all happening, and we're about to share this one experience that is irreplicable. It's that specific moment. And even when I watch the show back later, I'm going to be on a whole different wavelength than when I was in the audience right there versus just listening to it. And then I hear something different every time. Same with when I listen to Jerry, I hear something different every time. I'm like, damn, Jer Bear, you absolutely know what's up, man.
It really is awesome. And I think that whole culture is kind of, it's starting to spread too.
Yeah.
I think, especially around the festival scenes and stuff like that, it's starting to be more of a community amongst musicians and people who like music. And it's awesome to see that coming.
So your vision, give me a synopsis of your vision. You said touring musician, but when all is gravy, tell me how you would like things to go.
Playing, I mean, right now I want to be playing. I'm playing by myself a lot. Well, not at the moment, but before all this started, COVID-19 happened, I was doing a lot of solo shows because it was hard to get people on the same wavelength that felt like as me. And personally, I don't think I was really knowing what I was doing because I was so fresh. But having 3 other guys in a band and that are in other bands and scheduling and personalities, it's just a lot. It's a lot to take in, and you really have to find a good group of people to be able to spend a lot of time around and be able to open yourself up and work on your craft. So I want to be with other people on stage playing festivals. I love to write songs, and I love to sing songs.
Mm-hmm.
It does also put me in a different sense of a musician, though, as far as just like playing lead guitar, being on stage and just playing lead guitar, because I feel it's just me up there. And I always when people would say, oh, your voice is so great, I always wanted to be considered a great guitarist, more so than like a singer or a songwriter. So really it's just playing guitar on stage and in front of people
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and whatnot. I'm trying to I think find the right people right now. I think I'm doing a good job of that,
Totally.
especially right now. And so just trying to get the chips in order and the cards in place
Yeah.
for it to fully launch. Because I don't want to start something and then, you know, get halfway through it and then be like, you know what, this is not what I want to be doing right now. So
Hmm.
that's why I think some of my other projects have fizzled out, because people weren't on the same page from the get-go. There's, you
Hmm.
know, some people had day jobs that they didn't want to leave and stuff, and it's like, I'll sleep in a van for 2 months if it means we're playing 40 different
Right.
cities and, you
Yeah.
know, 8 different states. And some
Yeah.
people just don't want that, and they're great musicians, but some people don't want that. They want to live their own life, and I totally respect that. So in Houston, it's a little bit harder, I think, because there's
Yeah.
not as many, or they're just kind of scattered out. Um,
I mean, in LA,
but
everyone here is like, oh, what, you moved here to make it. What are you doing to make it? Are you an actress, singer, songwriter, dancer? Some people are like, I'm all of them. So yeah, you're right. Like, you know, out here, everyone is out
which
here
is
to,
cool, but does it also make it oversaturated as well? Is it kind of like because everybody's doing it
it's
as
like
opposed to
a,
like nobody doing it? Is there an in between?
there it is an in between, and I think a lot of that has to do with perspective, because it's cool because like I'll be you know, at Starbucks and meet someone who is like, oh yeah, we're looking for a singer songwriter for this upcoming showcase, let me put you in contact with this promoter I know. And then next thing you know, the promoter is like, hey, I really like your stuff, I'd like to bring you on for another show. There's a lot of moving facets, so it's kind of like sometimes I look at like the way that I go through things is like jumping from plateau to plateau, like in a video game. It's like you're running and you're like, okay, over here, over here, over
Yeah,
here, over here. And, you know, just like LA kind of has all those fast moving facets all the time.
that's awesome. I actually grew up in LA. We moved there when I was 6, and I spent until about 10.5 years old. So I spent like 4 to 5 years there growing up.
Yeah.
And I love that place so much. I never really got to experience it as a adolescent or adult though,
Yeah.
except for visiting there here and there. Um, like Hollywood Boulevard, I don't know much about anything like that. I know it's awesome, uh,
It's a weird
but LA
area.
definitely has a piece of LA definitely has a piece of my heart.
Well, if you come out and visit whenever venues open back up, I'll help you get on the lineup. We'll just put, you know, when
Oh
you're ready
heck
to come
yeah,
play some shows out here, we'll put you on some lineups, you know,
heck yeah,
for
that'd be
sure.
awesome.
It'd be awesome, so much awesome. And I love the fact that you said you're like, hey, I'm a singer songwriter, I'm looking forward to having a band when I meet them. You know, I have very much that mindset too. I named myself Kendra and the Bunnies, and then I was like, oh, I guess I'm also all the bunnies until I meet the right bunnies.
Which is actually hilarious. I've seen some of your videos, and I'm like, that is so awesome. I didn't know if you did that on purpose or not.
It's like, it was
Um,
like a half and half. Happy
so
accident.
the way I actually started a band was something similar as well. I did a set. I got involved with this kind of promotional radio show called Electro Love from KPFT. Hank Lamb,
Hmm.
he kind of took me under his wing, and this was at the end of 2017 when I was kind of wanting to get more into music and then fully pursue it. And so he introduced me to a lot of people within the scene, especially at Last Concert Cafe, which is a venue down
Awesome.
here in Houston,
Hmm.
with a lot of jam band people, a lot of Jamly. So we threw a festival. He throws the festival at Last Concert Cafe, and it's gone on for 5 years now. It's a small little festival. It's gone one day, 2 days,
Yeah.
depending on the year. And this particular year was 2018, and it was a 2-day fest. It was 2 days. So I was like, Hank, can I play at the festival? And I'd only been playing once every 2 months at different bars here and there, was practicing quite a bit, but just not really getting too many gigs. so I was, and one of my goals that year was to play at a festival, and I thought that was like my stretch goal. And
Mm-hmm.
even though this was a smaller festival, being able to play at it, because he allowed me to play, he was like, "Yeah, for sure, let's do a set of Jess, and do you want to do 2 sets? Do you want to do one each night?" And I was like, "Whoa, one each night." And I had been practicing a lot of Dead songs, so I was like, you know what? Let me do a Jess set, and then a Jess and Friends set, and I'll bring up a bunch of musicians to play Dead songs with me. Well, the first set that was supposed to be a solo set, I ended up having a drummer and another lead guitarist play with me.
Okay.
And the Jess and Friends set was actually a solo set. So I did not have, it was just with no friends. But the funny thing is that started, I think it kind of laid the groundwork of, okay, he's serious about what he's doing, and it kind of attracted people. And all of a sudden, within a month, I had a whole band around me, and we
Mm-hmm.
called ourselves Jess and Friends at first. And that kind
Mm-hmm.
of it kind of got started going. And then, when things start getting serious, it's like people start fizzling out. And like I said, I wasn't really completely mature yet as a musician either, so it kind of fizzled out, and which is unfortunate. But what I was saying is that it was funny that kind of attracted that
But you laid the
that
groundwork,
that
though,
that yeah,
for
you're exactly
yeah,
right.
and you accomplished the goal, which means you can accomplish it 1, 2, 3, 4, as many times more as you'd like. It's cool because those opportunities are just like when we get in alignment, those opportunities are just like practically like, hello, we got a message that you wanted to play a music festival. Would you like to play twice at the
I
music festival?
know, it's like what we were talking about earlier, your mind. And it's like, is it really that easy, or what? And sometimes it's like you have to be ready to open that door too,
Yeah,
because it doesn't come knocking all the time.
right,
And there's
right.
there's times when you can be like, no, I don't want to do it, fear or stuff like that, and you're like, no. And at some point, life's going to be like, okay, well, we're not knocking anymore. So you have to make sure you're answering those calls.
Right. Answering those calls and doing so with a grateful heart too. Yeah, for sure. There's been a lot of moments that have kind of just fallen into place, and I am always like, okay, when is the bottom gonna fall out, though? And it's like it doesn't happen like that. Just accept the blessings and just let the blessings continue, And then so what I do
That's
is
so true.
I go back to the music, and I'm just like, okay, uh, at least I can be safe in the music. Turn all of this off or turn it on and just play.
Right.
Just
Yeah,
play.
and that is interesting too, because when you start like following your dreams and start going down that path of your true calling, you start feeling so good, and you get so much energy too. You're no longer like wanting to sleep in. You're like waking up and just ready to go at it,
Yeah,
like again and
yeah,
again and again. And it's almost like, is like, wait, before, like, you would like be on these come ups, and then like, okay, like you're gonna hit that lull, especially for me, because I wasn't strong mentally. So I would come and I'd get in these serious ups, and then I'd come through these serious lows.
yeah.
And it was so unhealthy. And so
I
as
do
I've
that.
learned
Yeah.
myself more and learn how to balance myself more, and to be even keeled when I start feeling these ups, it's like, oh, are you gonna come down? And now I'm not coming down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm just feeling amazing every day, and it keeps getting better and better.
It's like smooth sailing. You just
Right.
okay, just keep going.
And not saying that there's not hard times and frustrations and stuff
Mhm.
like that,
Mhm.
but because you're doing what you're wanting to be doing and what you're supposed to be doing,
Mhm.
it's easier to deal with those, and you know how to deal with those, you know how to learn from that.
Did you ever look at your dream and say, "This is wow, these are some really big shoes to fill"?
Not necessarily shoes, no. What do you mean by that?
Well,
What do you mean by that?
I'm just saying,
If
okay,
I had
so
like a father or something, that's what I was thinking, like a father that was a well-known musician, then
okay.
maybe. maybe that. Are you just saying like your
Well,
own shoes?
yeah, because I mean, it's like the perspective vision and the perspective dream. It's like sometimes I'll share my dream with people, and it's so freaking cool with the people who are like, hot dog, how can I help you get there? And then some people are like, wow, you sure know how to dream, don't you? Like, so it kind of, I guess I was touching maybe on when you first started writing and people were like, are you sure that's what you want to do? Do you know what you're doing? Da, da, da.
Right. Um, I've especially recently been starting to, and whether they are very good friends or very close family, just kind of started like pushing them, pushing those people away a little bit. Not necessarily like out the door, but
Not a
just kind
way.
of just not really listening to what they have to say and really focusing on the people that are like, wow, like how
Yes.
can I help you? What and just creating this bubble of creative energy. And so
Yeah.
because a lot, especially when I was first getting started, I would ask people, and whether or not like I respected their opinion or not, um, I would just ask them, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And what I wanted them to say was, "Oh my gosh, this is the best song in the world." And when they wouldn't say that, I'd almost feel like offended,
Mm-hmm.
or and at one point I was just like, you know what? I'm searching for answers that I already have. So what, like,
Mm-hmm.
why am I asking? It's
It's
less
so
to be asking for an opinion that doesn't really even shouldn't mean anything to me, because I'm
it,
only wanting to hear one answer. And so that was a big learning point for me to be very confident in myself and what I'm doing, and
yeah.
not listen to others.
Or you know, you can propose the idea, what do you think of the song, but it doesn't change. You know, you create boundaries and have your own validation from within. I'm actually glad I kept pushing with whatever that comment was, because I deal with some of the same stuff. Is I want approval from people, and sometimes people just don't give approval because they're not the type that gives approval. You know, they might just react to art in different ways, and then I am like, oh my, instead of just having that confidence from within and extending my material and saying, here, listen to this, let me know what you think, instead of like, oh,
Right.
I need to
Right.
know that
Yeah.
you like it.
Hmm. You're exactly right. And especially like you send something off and you don't get the response, and you're just like, oh my gosh, you're not even responding to it. You're just thinking, and you're thinking. But for me, that was all just like personal insecurities and
Yeah.
stuff that I had to overcome and grow grow from grow away from, really.
Yeah. I realized that like I'm still dealing with insecurity a little bit. But I realized that I had just built up this entire persona on insecurity. And it was like super painful, because I did some of the same stuff, like, do you like this song? Is it okay that I'm pursuing a songwriting career? And people would be like, I mean, do you want to? And then I'd take it as they were saying, no, don't. And I'd be like, yes, I want to. It's just so much inner conflict with trying to ask people to tell me who I am while also knowing who I am. And
Right, right. And you at the end of the day, it's you. You have to know that. So if that's what you want to do, then that's what you're going to do. That's what you should be doing.
right. So tell me about a project that you're working on that you're excited about, or some one of your projects.
Well, the people that I have been quarantining with, they have a project called Ben Vibin, and
Right.
it's a little like 80s futuristic front funk. Some of the influences are floozies and Sun Squabby and stuff like that. So we've been, and I'm a lead guitarist, and I get to play guitar, and I get to have my pedal board and do crazy sounds, and it's very a lot of improvising and stuff like that. So I have been having so much fun getting engulfed in that project, and we're doing live streams on Twitch now
Mm-hmm.
on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and we have been having so much fun uh, just learning from each other, and and growing as a little group together. And none of this would have happened because Killian, he's a lighting designer. He goes on tour with like Jai Wolf and Snake Hips and stuff, a lot of big EDM names, and tours like 9 to 10 months out of the year now with these bands that are, you know, going on different tours. So he's never home. Ben is a sound engineer at White Oak. So he's only available on like Mondays and Tuesdays when there aren't shows.
Yeah.
So we've been friends, but we've never really had the chance of collabing. And then all of a sudden it was like, stick these guys in a room for 6 weeks and see what happens. And our minds are just so creative and bouncing each other, you know, ideas off each other and whatnot, that we've had so much fun on this project. And it's inspiring, and I'm very excited to see what comes out of it, because these guys have a lot of connections with people that I want to be connected with as well, and playing festivals. I mean, they work these festivals and stuff like that, so they know a lot of these people. So I think this project is going to get me closer to where I've been wanting to be for so long. I'm very excited about that. It's called Ben Vibin.
Ben Vibin.
Ben Vibin, like BEN.VIBIN.
Gotta keep vibing, man.
Yeah.
VIBIN.
V as in Victor, like vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, you said
VIBIN, but it's like from Dazed and Confused. Gotta keep vibing, LIBIN.
Oh, yes, there you go.
So, okay, cool. So we got a project coming up. What about your solo projects, though?
So my solo project, I've been releasing music. I recorded 5 songs. At the end of 2019, I was still working. I was working at a bar for the first half of the year, and then the second half of the year, I quit and did a day job, and I was still just like so emotionally drained. And that's when I was just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to fully pursue music. I'm going to spend, I thought it was like 40 hours a week, but really it's like 80 hours a week. You have to start working. Yeah. So,
I like how you're just like, I know.
So I was like, okay, I'm fully doing it. So I quit my day job and I recorded, I was hoping to record a whole album with Lyndon over at Stormy Cooper Media. Now, I didn't realize this was my first time in a professional studio and paying for professional studio time and stuff. So I learned a lot about the whole process and the time it takes. Not so much of the recording side, but like the mixing side and the mastering side and all that stuff. So I was able to get 5 songs recorded with my budget, and I decided to release them over time to help myself kind of keep myself releasing music, but also to give myself some time to figure out how to make things more sustainable in the future, which, you know, doing a home studio is kind of what I'm building towards right now and stuff like that. So I recorded 5 songs, and I have the 5th one being released here in about 2 weeks.
Falling, looking up to space. I wanted more than just an average face. It's a feeling I could not explain. I'm falling so fast to an island of pain. from the surface. It looked like a plane in a freeway of starlight and fate. They're coming so fast. Will they be okay? I hope they make it and show us their way. But now I know it'll be okay in a world that disagrees. Now I know it'll be okay in a world that disagrees. To you, to you. It's full of liars, deceptors of truth. It's full of regret, death from a noose. It's full of hatred and violent abuse. It's from the secret we won't seem to use. Now I know it'll be okay in a world that disagrees. Now I know it'll be okay in a world that disagrees. To you, to you, to you. Do you feel it? Do you feel all this truth? We will make it, 'cause we won't seem to lose. It's inside us, inside all we do. We are more than just who. Now I know it'll be okay in a world that disagrees. But now I know it'll be okay in a world that disagrees.
Perfect.
Space. And from there, I am not, well, it's so interesting with the with COVID right now, because the clubs aren't really opening up. They're kind of opening up. No one wants to go
Oh,
see
yeah.
music anymore. So it's like, what, what do we do as artists? These live streams are awesome, but everybody's doing them. So
Mhm.
it's like, it's
Yeah.
hard to make yourself a little different from those. And then also it's I don't, I really don't know what's coming with the solo project. I will still play,
Okay.
of course, with in different clubs and stuff like that. But as far as where I'm wanting to go musically, it's definitely more towards the touring aspect of
Yeah.
it, and being with a group and stuff like that. Um, More so than to be playing these bars here in town, which is a lot of fun, and I do have a lot of fun doing it. I just don't like being by myself on stage anymore.
Okay.
I,
Yeah.
I I do like it, but it's just it's difficult. I've gotten a lot better at it. It's difficult for me to know, like, I want these songs to be so much bigger than they are, and when you're only with an acoustic guitar, it's hard. So I was experimenting with different loops and triggering samples and stuff like that, which I will eventually move towards a little bit.
Same, likewise. Yeah.
But I don't know, because part of me, like, I have songs that I'm still in the process of recording too for my solo stuff, but also, like, I'm wanting to dive into more, like we were talking about or earlier, like a futuristic sound and stuff like that. I've been working on, like, DJing and stuff like that. So I don't know if I want to, like, start. I have, yeah. I don't know if I want to start another side project or whatnot, or if I want to, like, keep that.
Will you teach me your DJ ways a little bit? Like, I would
Yes.
absolutely love that. I can help you with
Yes.
recording at home. I know all about that, but the DJ ways, teach me.
Cool. We've actually been doing this thing because these guys, Killian and Ben, they're just so smart, and so they've mapped these different sounds and different controls, beat repeats and filter sweeps and stuff like that, that make it really easy. So we've had a couple of friends, like, come over, and we've been teaching them kind of the tricks of the knobs and stuff. And so we've been saying that we're producing overnight DJs right now.
Yeah, the overnight DJ Academy.
Yeah, totally. We can make that happen for you. And it's so much fun because, like, all of a sudden now I'm, like, having this DJ set. I'm working towards, like, doing, like, a little DJ set.
Yeah.
And like, you go in, like, you dive into your old catalog of music, because that's the thing about, like, these DJ sets. You want, like, songs that people love but they don't really know.
Yeah.
These obscure, like, songs and stuff like that. So it gets you back in, like, the old tunes, and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this song.
Oh my gosh, I used to drive around Houston blasting this song. Yeah. That's so rad. So I wanted to mention about the live stream thing. I've noticed, I do appreciate the fact that you said, hey, live streams are great, but everyone's doing it. And it's like, damn, you're right. As well as playing at clubs are great, but everyone's doing that. So it's like, okay, now I'm thinking, what makes me different? And that's just one of those things that it's like, I'll just move it out of my mind and just keep going straight forward, because then I'll get all hung up and it's like, oh, well, how can I be different? What can I do? Just play the music, get out of the way, Kendra. But I did want to mention, with live streaming, I've noticed that it allows for a more personal relationship between me and the listener, and they're able to hear my lyrics specifically, because I'm basically just, like, right there in your living room with you, so you can hear the specific lyrics and the specific tone changes of my acoustic if the bandwidth is good that day. You can hear those little niche things. So it's helping with creating personal relationships with people I haven't met. Like, I've got some fans in, like, Ohio and stuff like that who I haven't met, which is really cool. But at the same time, I'm just like you, where I'm like, I love the aspect of community that comes with music festivals. I think that it's such a good outline for how we can make a beneficial impact on, like, creating a world where we all have something to do and we all have something beneficial to bring to the table. One of the things that takes me back about music festivals is it's like everyone has their own role, but at the end of the day, we're all just having a good time at a music festival. You've got artists, you've got the stagehands, you've got the people preparing food, the vendors, the attendees of the festival too. We're all making it work as one. So I think about that as an outline for how to create a bigger impact that allows for understanding in society at large.
Right. And right now it's like, it's an interesting time, because time is almost stopped, especially for us. We don't have gigs. We're doing live streams and stuff like that, but it's like, okay, so what are we going to do next? So now, like, I think everybody's just trying to figure out, like, how can we do this? How can we make this sustainable? What can we do to make ourselves different? Which is, it's going to be really cool to see how that plays out.
New media is king. Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of different rumors, like some of the festivals in the fall now. I know some are doing it actually right now. Some of these smaller festivals are doing like electronic festivals are doing streaming now, so they're just streaming from their home or wherever they're streaming from. But these festivals in the fall, like I think it was Lollapalooza, or one of the bigger festivals, was like, we're still gonna have it. I don't think it was Lala. It was something related
Coachella
close to that.
rescheduled to
Coachella.
October. ACL's already in October. Um, Fish just moved their whole tour to next year. Are you
You
saying
know
they're going
what?
to do a socially
I
distanced?
I think it was Halloween. Now
Uh-huh.
that I'm thinking about it, I think it was Halloween said that they're still gonna have the festival, but it was going to be streaming. It was probably going to be a streaming festival now. And so that would be, I don't know how they're going to do it, but like it would be like $40 or $30. I don't know
Uh-huh.
how they price that out.
Yeah.
Um, and you could watch everything, watch all these bands from
One thing
the
that we
comfort
used to
of your
do with
home.
Fish live streams is I have a friend who like owns a local theater here, like a movie theater, and we would stream the Fish live streams in the theater. So it's like
That's
a
awesome.
fun event that we're all going out to go see, but it's still less people and stuff like that. So that could maybe be a good transition, is partnering with venues in specific big cities. So maybe people
Yeah,
travel to LA from Santa Barbara, or maybe you travel in a little bit to allow,
that's
because
a
a lot of it's the
good.
vacation time and the like going
Oh,
somewhere
for
too.
sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like when I was just talking about it in my mind, it was like I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to pay money to go see not. I just said to see a band that I could
Mm-hmm.
pull up on YouTube, and also the fact like
Mm.
it's hard for me to just like sit down and watch an iPad for. I mean, how long are you at a music festival for? 3 days? It's just
Yeah,
that'd be kind of difficult. I
it's
I
it's
think
weirder.
some of
Life,
it
yeah.
some
No,
of
you
it
go.
might actually be like maybe smaller exclusive parties now for some of
Okay.
these bands, like no, like I don't know, it's interesting. Have you thought about like the future of the music industry in the next year or so?
Yes and no. I think that we're going to get back on track as soon as possible, because it's such a thriving industry that it's not going to be like, oh, well, let's just do something totally different. It's going to be like, let's get something in line so we can figure out how to keep this going in the future. So I think things will be revived. But in the short term, I think things like I saw drive-in, I saw drive-in theater raves, and I was like, wow, that brings a whole new idea to designated drivers. Because did you see that? It looks like a drive-in movie theater, and it's just like people out their window and someone on the stage. So I think that's a good route. Drive-in
Now,
festivals, but
it's a drive-in and it's on the screen, it's a
well,
stream
it's
basically?
no, it's a big stage. So you're just driving in. So let's say you rent out the Sam Houston Race Park. You could probably bring a
Yeah.
bunch of cars in there, but you put a big stage at the front. So it's just
So there
less
is an
people being.
actual live, it's a live performer
Yes,
though.
yes.
Okay.
But the
Yeah,
interesting thing
that's
that I haven't been able to wrap my mind around yet is like all the people who, there's multiple people in the cars and there's multiple people on the stage. So are we technically socially distancing, or is it like you can only be in the car if you, and it's like, I mean, this is such a like gray area. It's like, don't talk about it, but it's like, what does it mean to socially distance, and what does it mean to be able to protect society, instead of just saying, when a kid asks you about a question that you don't want to answer, you don't just go, well, you might put it off for a few years, like we'll talk about the birds and the bees when you're ready, but you don't just shun the solution. You don't just shun talking about it or shun making a difference. You know what I mean? So it's like, how can we create an environment that everyone feels safe and healthy, and does the social distancing thing actually work? Because I was thinking like, okay, so you're going into a restaurant, but you're 6 feet away from someone. I guess that makes sense because you still have a little bit of breathing room between you.
yes, but I do totally agree with what you're saying. It is interesting. It's like where are we drawing the line?
I think it's a comfortability thing, a lot of it, which is totally
It
cool.
definitely is.
Comfortability is like very, I think people should be comfortable as long as it's not too much comfortability where it's like, I'm never going to leave the house again, but comfortable that I feel safe. So I think a huge transition with this is us as artists are going to be cradling. I thought about this when the quarantine first started. Wow, this is about to feel like a really intense depression spell. I don't leave the house for X amount of days and I, stay in my pajamas and write a lot of music and stuff like that. I'm like, this is nothing new for me. What about people who haven't gone through some of those emotional turmoils or traumas of their own? So I think as artists, we're going to be kind of, fostering people back into it's okay.
That's a great way to put it. And I totally agree. Because when it first started off, it was, what are you doing? And it was like, well, I'm doing pretty much nothing has changed. Actually, when it first started, it was like less distractions because I didn't have friends like calling me to hang out like with them or go to a ball game or something. It was like, okay, well, everybody's inside. So it's like, you have to do your work now.
Yeah.
But for some people, they're not used to that, especially people who are going out all the time and wanting to chat with people and interact and engage. It's gonna be very interesting to see like how society moves from this, like how it's gonna be moving forward as well, and how all this has affected people. Because that's one reason why I started really practicing mental health and spiritual strength and stuff like that, was because I saw two results coming out of this. I can either come out of this like depressed and ill-ridden, or I could come out of this like the strongest I've ever been, the strongest human being I could possibly be. And as I started diving more into that, I felt better and better and better, and I was like, okay, now I just want to keep doing this forever. There's no doubt about it.
And being strong in in the ways that I didn't know I was gonna have to be strong before, because it went through a phase. Now I'm getting to the phase where I'm almost like, all right, let me at them. Like I'm ready. Kind of, I want to speak and be heard, but it's like, okay, relax. Like let speak and be heard, but also remember where you were before the whole pandemic started. And speak with what I've learned without letting the direct circumstance of now influence the way I say something. That actually brings up a lot of clarity that I was hopefully looking for. I was like, how do I share my voice without sounding like just an inconvenienced nut job? An inconvenienced crazy person. It's, by taking what I've learned through this whole situation, but remembering that this isn't going to be the circumstance forever. It's like refined creative energy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about your song's coming out. It's called Space, right? In 2 weeks.
Yes, it is. It is.
Do you have an exact date that it's going to be released?
Yes, I do. It is going to be Thursday. Hold on, I'm trying to get Thursday the 28th
of May.
Of May 28th.
So this will be
released.
Post-release. Can you tell us what the meaning of this podcast will?
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Can you tell us what inspired the song? Tell us a bit about it and what we can expect when we listen.
So this is actually, of my 5 songs, this was the most recent. This was the song that I had written most recently. The other 4 songs I had written in years past, and this was a newer song that I had written recently, and I wrote it in the sense of 2 perspectives, because in my vision, how the song started was, okay, say like, for example, someone jumping out of a plane and their feeling of weightlessness and gravity free, that's like their feeling of joy. That's how they live. It's kind of like a breath of fresh air for them. And so that's their moment of clarity. And now there's this person on the ground who is so scared of this person and like what they are and like how they could just want to do something like that. And so they're so scared, but they're curious as well. It's a curiosity thing. So that's kind of where the basis of the song came from, is two minds can think very differently. And there's that negative
Wow.
aspect of your mind, and there's also the positive aspect of your mind. And so in the chorus, it's kind of like a coming together of clarity and almost a yin and yang of, okay, we are together, we are one, we're living and breathing the same air. And the chorus is, now I know it'll be okay. And so that's kind of this the basis of this song. And it was really, really fun to write it out, because it was one of those songs that it was just like in the back of your mind. It was like it was just writing the words itself. And there were some events that had led up to that, a few days, where there was just a lot of emotion building. There was a thunderstorm going around town and stuff, and there was just so much emotion. And then all of a sudden, this song just appeared almost out of fresh, like thin air. And I love this song so much. It's very inspiring to me, and I can't wait for people to hear it.
Oh my gosh. Sometimes when I get super excited, I drool a little bit. When you mentioned this thunderstorm going around town, that is such beautiful imagery, because it's like can mean so much, but you literally mean a thunderstorm is going around Houston, and one day it's like at this part of the neighborhood, and another day it's like at the other part of the city.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool.
That's funny.
Pardon my bluntness.
No,
I love the idea. So there's someone on the ground, and they're scared of the way the person lives their life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They live their life in fear, basically. They live their life in a fearful mindset where they're scared, and it's imagery, of course, but they're scared of everything. They live their life of, oh, don't do that, don't touch that. Oh, what would happen if that? And there's that person, they're so curious of this person who's just like living free spirited. It's the free spirited way. It's the positive way. And just coming together as one and learning from each other. And really the song is it's kind of about myself, and like the yin and yang of myself as well. And it's like coming together and fully understanding yourself.
So are you at times on the person on the airplane free spirited, and then at times you're the person on the ground being like, what? I can't believe they live like that.
In a sense, yes. It's not more so like I'm looking at other people. It's more so with like things that I do, like especially when I wrote this song about 8 months ago now. I would be very like, okay, energetic, like, let's do this about some things. And then some things I was like, hey, I don't want to do that. I'm too scared. And it's kind of written about that.
Right. Finding your pathway in between.
Right.
How did you record it? What kind of instruments are used in the mix?
The instruments, I was so happy with how it turned out too, because Lyndon Hughes, he's an awesome producer, and he takes your songs and just makes them lively like you always envisioned it. And so we had recorded already 4 songs before that. This was our last session of recording, and we were in the flow because we had done it was weekly. We had done 3 sessions. This was our 3rd session, so it was 3 weeks leading up to all this. So we'd known each other, we'd gotten to know each other, we knew our strengths and stuff. And it started off with just an acoustic guitar, like my songs had started off before that, but we built it up with a little piano melody, and then we added a little bit of drums into it, and then we added a big old electric guitar that really creates the sound, this big full sound. It's almost like I was saying thunderstorm, it's like a lightning strike.
Nice.
And production wise, I am so happy with how it came out, because it's like, it sounds like a full song. It was funny, I told them I was like, make me sound like Creed, because it's almost like this, it kind of has this like Christian rock, like pop kind of sound to it. And I was like, and he always wants to know reference tracks. So I'm like, make me sound like Creed.
Yeah.
And so it has like that big kind of rocky stadium atmosphere to it. That's really cool. But it wasn't like too complex instrument wise. It was just like the right instruments at the right times.
Yeah.
And just using them to create a full sound, which was so much fun working with him. And I'm so glad I did it, even though there are some like regrets per se, but thinking about it, there are no regrets, because I learned so much in the production process, and how little sounds can really bring out the song so much more than you're used to the sense to where you don't even like need the acoustic anymore. The song we just recorded for the jingle, it started on an acoustic guitar, and at the end of the day, we took that melody out. We took that whole thing out.
You're talking about the jingle that you did for the spicy chicken hot sauce place. What is it?
Yes, the Yellowbird hot sauce. It's a company in Austin.
Yeah.
And my friend sent me it was a contest post. It was a post about a contest about a week ago. She was like, I love this hot sauce. You should try and make a jingle. So I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be awesome. And we made a little jingle for them. It's called Yellowbird.
I actually listened to it. Yeah.
It's a silly little song, but it was fun just making a jingle and trying to create something catchy and whatnot. And we'll see how it goes.
Right.
It's actually at like 1,500 views now on Instagram, which is awesome.
Yeah.
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 So we're hoping to win that, and then it's actually a $5,000 winner and free hot sauce for a year. So we're going to use that to, if we win, to upgrade some musical equipment and whatnot.
For Ben Vibin.
Actually,
did you do that project with Ben Vibin?
Yes, we did. We did. Ben Vibin and Photon Samurai is his Instagram name. He's the lighting director. So, and I thought about it. I was like, you know what, I could do this by myself, but I wanted to open the project up to those guys because I'd been working with them. So to do something like this, it was actually a lot of work. It was fun, and we learned a lot about each other and learned a lot about the process, and it inspired us in a different way of like, hey, we could be seeking out some of these companies to make jingles for them and stuff like that, because companies would like stuff like that.
That's cool. I reach out to companies for brand sponsorships. So that sounds very similar. You know, you just send in your EPK and say, this is what we've done for other companies.
Definitely, yeah. And this can kind of be, you know, like a little piece on the resume of, hey, we did this. Can we do something similar to you for you? How do you want it done? Stuff like that. And it's a way for us as musicians to try and make some money, some money to sustain life right now.
It's going to be interesting to see how we as musicians make money, because I mean, doing like the club and venue circuit, I'm starting to get paid for club and venues shows that I perform at. But at the same time, a good chunk of my monetization is coming in through book sales, CD streaming, and my performing rights organization, which, actually most of my money was coming in from gigs entirely. So I mean, monetizing each way that we can to keep that creativeness strong. I remember the days when I was in the soul crushing jobs that you had mentioned, and they were perfect for where I was in my life. But when it got to the point where it was like, okay, I'm ready to fully dedicate myself to music, then it was like, I can't go back to that. I'm not going back to that at all. So we build the foundation and we just keep going. I think that gets back to me just getting out of the way of the alignment, letting the blessings come.
In this book, The North Star, that we were talking about earlier, written by Martha Beck. She puts you in this scenario of basically like worst case scenario, like what do you not want to be doing? And she kind of tricks you into it through these activities, like who makes you feel like personally, who makes you feel edgy and agitated, like some of your friends and stuff. So you'll be putting, like, you put down all this stuff, and then she puts it into this scenario where you're in your worst case scenario, and you can feel it inside. And it was just like we were talking about, like soul crushing, and I could feel it. And then in the book, she's like, do you feel that feeling? And it's like, yes, I feel that feeling. And then she does the exact opposite of like your dream, right? She puts everything like in a dream state, and like, do you feel those feelings? And it's like, yes, I want that. And then it's like, okay, well, now you know the difference of what you don't want to be feeling and what you do want to be feeling.
Yeah.
So then it's like, start moving towards that. When your body starts feeling that way, that's what you're trying to get away from.
Right.
So don't move towards that. Move towards that positive feeling.
That's like the law of attraction with Abraham Hicks.
Yes.
She says you go towards the good feeling. Why would your higher power have you feeling something totally negative, unless it's through a poem, but stay in that good feeling.
And Abraham Hicks was actually, I got introduced to her because my mom was watching her on my YouTube channel. My YouTube suggestions had Abraham Hicks, and I'm like, what the heck is Abraham Hicks?
Yeah.
And so I put it on, and it was like immediately just like, spiritually healing and whatnot. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And then I put it down. I listened to it for about a week, and then I put it down for a few months. And then once COVID started, I started getting back into that. It was like kind of like planting the seed, I think. And now I'm really all about that stuff. I'm a full believer in the law of attraction, and you can attract all that stuff to you, and it'll come to you. You just have to be ready to answer the door.
And stay out of those. For me, I do a little bit of self-trickery, or I get really hard on myself. I'm like, yeah, but like, what about, you could have done this better, and what about this opportunity? Like, great, you got like I'm not always like that. I'm very grateful, but my mind will be like, yeah, but can't you do better? And it's just like, whoa, like, try to tear me down from that good feeling. And then I try to label it, okay, well, what, if I'm thinking this negative feeling, what is it that's trying to drag me out of it? And it's like, okay, it's the ego. And I'm like, okay, oh, the ego is so powerful that it can drag me out of a really good place of accomplishment to feel negative. I don't know. Maybe I'm just ready to let go of all of that.
Yeah, one thing that's really been helping me is to just like saying, I will do this. I will be this person. Like, I will be patient. I will be like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that like puts it into the back of your mind that you are that. And then it's almost like it just becomes habit. And especially like before sleep and when I wake up, I've been like saying thank you for stuff, kind of like a spiritually praying and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's really, really helped my mindset and taken me out of states of depression that I would get into and whatnot, and helped me see a lot of clarity. And you start seeing like the results too. You're like, wow, like before I would be so impatient in this situation, but now you're just like so at ease. It's like, I can be here forever and not lose any patience. I'm fine.
I accept where I am.
Right.
And I'm grateful for where I am.
Exactly.
And I love where I am too. So the whole spiral of like, who is it being negative? Just freaking leave it alone. Yeah,
exactly.
So
it's almost like don't even acknowledge it. It's just like, okay, you're over there now.
Yeah.
You're in timeout. Let's just hang out with the positive dude.
Right. Just like keep that gremlin asleep in the corner and throw it candy bars every once in a while. And
like, right.
Yeah. Ooh, interesting. Thank you so much for being on my podcast today. To close.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, you're so welcome. So I'll be in Texas next month. I'd love to get together or something.
Definitely.
From 6 feet away.
Definitely.
or
We could
social
figure out
distance or whatever.
something.
Yeah.
Well, in Texas, I mean, it's a little
We're
different
not, yeah.
than LA. We're,
Yeah.
you know, kind of, hey, we're Texas, we can do it our way.
I
So.
know. I'm so excited to be back in Houston, like walk around and just feel free and full of liberty. Where can we find you on social media and your music, etc.?
So everything, you can find me at just music. I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple Music, iTunes, and then Instagram, Facebook. I even have a TikTok. Is all. I haven't figured out. Well, I have figured out TikTok, but I don't know.
It's embarrassing. It is.
I don't know what TikTok is.
Yeah.
But just music. You can find me JES1S music. You can find me all my socials there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show today, and I will see you in Texas, my friends.
Thank you so much, Kendra.
Peace, everyone.
Okay.